Hey authors, how's the book coming along? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be getting started with Scrivener, one of my favorite writing applications, which is available on both Windows and iPadOS, both of which I own myself. When I started writing my own novel and when I started figuring out that I needed something more robust and more capable of handling a really large number of files and a large number of words, like a really large word processor, that's when I came across Scrivener. So I'll attach a link below in the description for you to get yourself a copy of Scrivener because it is a one-time license. It is not a subscription like Microsoft, which Microsoft Word can either come as a subscription or a one-time purchase. Sometimes your Windows PCs also come with a license to Microsoft Office, which includes Microsoft Word. But as you'll figure out soon, for your intensive tasks, such as writing a novel, which don't require a lot of processing power in the sense, but they do need a lot of categorization, organization, and things like that. You'll realize by paying a one-time license for Scrivener for about 5,000 rupees, you're saving a lot. Now, when I got myself a license to Scrivener, I had no idea of how to start. Therefore, I looked on Udemy for a course because it is a specialized piece of software. And I thought a course might be the best way to get the full advantage of Scrivener. And as you should, because if you're not using all of the features, or at least most of the features of Scrivener, you are probably better off without it. It is meant to help you focus on writing and not focus on the organization or the formatting when you're finally done writing. In this video and the next couple of videos, I'm going to help you get started with Scrivener. I will attach a link to the course as well, which I used. And I think you'll have to look for a more updated course because there have been a lot of software updates on Scrivener and a lot of new features that have been added. So you might want to look for a course which is more updated. And even if you don't want to pay money for a course, because I thought a certificate might come helpful later on, but if you don't want a certificate or you don't want a purchase course, there are tons of tutorials on YouTube, including mine. So I'm going to help you get started on Scrivener so that you don't waste time looking through the menus, figuring out how the application works, but you just get started with writing. Eventually down the line, you can look for other tutorials or even a full-fledged course to help you gain complete familiarity and complete control of the software so that you can use it to your advantage. Let's get started. So if you haven't already clicked on my link in the description below to get yourself a copy of Scrivener, well, you can do a Google search with the Scrivener as the search tag, and I would advise against clicking the sponsored link. Sometimes in the past I have had it reroute to another website, not the Scrivener website, so it's probably best you don't do that. What you can do is click the second link, which you can verify is by Literature and Latte. Literature and Latte is the company which makes and maintains Scrivener. So that's the link you're going to click. Scrivener is available so what you can do is in the top right corner, there's a download button. You can press download. Now, Scrivener is available for Mac OS, Windows, and iOS. Like I mentioned in the vlog video, I usually write, not usually, but sometimes I prefer writing outside in cafes. So the iOS app for my iPad really helps me because the iPad is a very light device. I can carry it around anywhere I want to. It's not as light and portable as my laptop, but even if you have a Windows laptop that's light, or you have a Windows PC, or even the Mac laptop or a Mac desktop, you can choose your poison and just get on with it. Now the first step is to download You don't really get to purchase it right away, but once you do the setup, you will find that you can either do a free trial for about 30 days, or you could just straight away dive in and purchase the license. The license is applicable for just one device. It's not applicable for two devices, meaning you can't have Scrivener activated on one device, let's say a laptop, and another device like your desktop. You can't have that happen. Scrivener is a one-time license. So I guess that's the only shortcoming, possibly, because if you have a work laptop, let's say you're working in the software field and whatever, you get a work laptop from the organization that you work for, and you already have a laptop or a desktop at home. Now you'd like to have them synced together. You can't really do that. Perhaps you could buy two licenses, but that, I wonder how that's going to be for organization, because I feel that's going to be really difficult to organize. So Scrivener for now is just a one-time license. I figured there's a lot more people like me who have a desktop or a laptop, which is their main device, but they also have a secondary device like an iPad. And that's why they possibly have an iPad app as well. So if you're in that person, you can do that. Now the iPad app is purchased. Just because you have bought a license on Scrivener for your laptop does not mean you're going to have that app for free. That app is also purchased. It's not very expensive. I think it's about 700 or 650, something like that. I'll attach a screenshot somewhere. But yeah, it is a purchased app. Now, once you've done the installation process, you can go ahead and launch Scrivener. You'll get a couple of templates to choose from. Just to make it simple and just to make it, I'm assuming that a lot of my viewers are novelists, but even if you're a poet or you're just a researcher who's using Scrivener to write your research proposal, because there is a template for research proposal on Scrivener. So if you're that person, it's going to work just the same. A couple of folders are going to change here and there, nothing else. So just to get started, if you're a novelist and you just come to check this video out on how to get started, so we're doing that part. So now what you're seeing here is on the left hand side, on the, I don't know what this is called, the sidebar. On the sidebar, you have a couple of folders. There's your main manuscript folder. You have a characters folder, a front matter folder, a notes folder, a research folder, template sheets, and finally the trash. Now, a lot of your main writing is going to be in the manuscript folder. You might use characters like I have occasionally, but that's mainly for your reference. It's not going to be something you, how do I say this? It's not going to be in your export folder when you're finally done writing a novel. The characters are not going to be in your export folder unless you choose them to be. That's also possible. So for the most part, we will do the characters page a couple of, maybe in the next video or some other video. But for now, let's just get started with starting our draft. Now, as you can see, I have a draft one. That's because I've already written a couple of chapters in this unpublished piece of work that I have. I don't know if it's my next novel, maybe not, but yeah, I have a couple of things now. Yeah, this news of no sun. I'm a science fiction writer, so anyway, what you can do is, if you follow this way of writing where you create multiple drafts, you don't need to create multiple files of Scrivener, as in you don't have to press file, new project. No, don't do that. What you can do is create folders, name them as draft 1, draft 2, and just start writing just like that. Now, let's say I have finished my draft 1. I am not very happy with it and I need to start draft 2. Well, it's really simple. I just create new folders with either the folder icon in the bottom left corner, or by clicking this top button, this plus button at the top left corner. And if you click the drop down menu, you can choose exactly what you want to create. You can even create a web page for an attachment. That usually goes in the research. Now, what I also really like to do is create folders for chapters and create scenes. Now, if you click the chapter folder icon in the sidebar, you can choose to open, like if you come to the left side, the right side, the middle part of the screen, you can choose either an all view, like, so this part here is scene 1, this is scene 2, and this is this is the full chapter without any breaks in the document, in the folder. But you can see that there are 2 sub documents. So this is scene 1, this is scene 2, and this is a trial scene. So this is one way to maybe look at an overview for your editing purposes when you're in that stage of editing. You could also open a cork view. This is called a corkboard view. What happens here is you have a summarized version, not really a summarized version. You can create a summary of each scene. Now, I personally find this very helpful when I'm in the editing process, because now I don't have to sort through the whole, 300 pages for look for a particular piece that I want to edit. I can just create a small summary as and when I write. So let's say I have written something here. Look what happens when I go into the corkboard view. It does show, but what if let's say I write of the first scene. Alright, this is the summary of the first scene. Look what happens when I go into scene 1 back. There's garbage there, there's gibberish there. When I'm back in corkboard view, now the gibberish is not visible in the corkboard view. What is visible is the summary that I've written. This is very useful. You can get started with writing. So the main part of your writing goes into these documents, and a couple of your summaries, or maybe just a quick snapshot view. Like, you know how you have to just open files, and at first glance from the outside, you don't know what is in those files. That's when you put a label in the notebook or a label on the file and label it as, okay, so this is this document, blah, blah, blah. Well, this is inbuilt into the software. You can create a corkboard view. You can have an overall, like a 2-dimensional space view where you can do a lot of your planning. You can do a lot of your summaries, and that's how I get started with Scrivener. That's how I got started with Scrivener. These are the 2 features that I used really very often. Now, a couple of small things that you could also use when you're starting out with Scrivener is to use this section type. Now, this is something you will use very often when it's at the end of the book, when you're done writing and you are going to publish your book. So it might be useful back then, later on at that point, at that stage of time. But you could also just click on create the section as a chapter or a heading or a section or a front matter. And this is also something I really used very often, labels. So what I would do is red is something which I haven't written. I don't know why it's not visible here, but it's usually visible on my iPad. I'll check out why. It's not visible here, but you can set red as some color which I have not written. There are a couple of so many other labels you can use, and what's more interesting, right below that is a status bar. You can create a to do, in progress, first draft, revised draft, final draft, done. You can create so many statuses, which all of these tags help you be more productive in writing. So at first glance, okay, so this is something I haven't written completely. I should probably work on this, or well, there's another document here which I have not touched at all, or this is great. This is the final version. I'm not going to edit this anymore. This is the final version. You can do all of that in first glance, and that really helps your organization when you're writing a novel, because you're writing really long words, like a lot of words. My novel was 75,000 words, so this really helps. I think that does it for this video. Catch you in the next tutorial. A lot of